A conversation this morning with our friends from IRMC brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Ashley Pruger, Katy Valazak, both certified registered nurse practitioners with Neuropsychiatry Associates at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you did that in harmony. That was really cool. Ashley and Katy joining us this morning. You folks, you both started as registered nurses at IRMC, right? Didn't you?
That's correct. Yeah, this is Katy. I worked almost 14 years as a registered nurse on the behavioral health unit at IRMC, and then I decided to go back for my psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to do that?
That's a good question. I guess I just have always been somebody that likes to learn, further my education. So I wanted to remain in psychiatry, but I just wanted to sort of change up my role a little bit. So that's sort of what made me go back.
Katy, what about you?
Oh, Ashley.
Ashley,
that was Katy. This is Ashley. I started at IRMC when I was studying my undergraduate nursing. I started as a nurse's aide, and then I began working as an RN on the behavioral health unit for 4 years. And I moved to a medical surgical unit, and I worked there for 3 years while I did my master's program. And then I worked in primary care as a nurse practitioner for a year, and I just moved over to psychiatry in February.
Mm-hmm. And why? Why did you want to do that?
I have always loved mental health, and I feel like that has always been my favorite area to work in. Mm-hmm. There is definitely such a need for mental health care workers, and even in primary care, on a regular basis, I would see patients with depression and anxiety, and I always felt that I needed to know more about it and help more, and I decided to go back to school again to get a psychiatric nurse practitioner certification. And then I moved over here. So it's always been my favorite area to work in.
September is, of course, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Here in Indiana, that is marked with the Walk for a Wonderful Life. We've been talking with others about the walk and how it's being done this year, which is in a virtual format in conjunction with the Suicide Task Force of Indiana County, which I assume you both are quite familiar with.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some of the stresses that probably are more acute this year than in any other time. Ashley, we'll start with you. As this year has progressed and has COVID-19 and the pandemic have put even more stress on people, it can really force them to become sort of tunneled into a very dangerous spot, can't it?
Absolutely. I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has really made people afraid. It has caused a lot of anxiety in many of our patients and many people in general, just worrying about the virus and also feeling isolated. I've noticed that in patients of all ages. I am very fortunate that I see children and adolescents in the office, and even school-age children will report how the isolation and the lack of socialization has made them feel more depressed and anxious.
Yeah. Katy, what can folks do? What are some of the things that people can do that's just done in an everyday basis in order to help take some of that pressure away?
Well, so doing things like eating a well-balanced diet, avoiding excessive alcohol use, making sure that you're getting plenty of sleep at night, regular exercise, staying connected with family and friends, whether that's through social media, the phone, email, snail mail, of course, reaching out for help. The providers here at Neuropsych, we're seeing patients in the office, but we also provide telehealth appointments for those that, can't make it in, that are fearful to come in due to the pandemic. So those are all things that are very essential and important, especially during times like this.
You know, that aspect of it, the ability to have somebody to talk to, somebody, anybody, but certainly somebody who in a professional setting can really help. That's what the Neuropsychiatric Associates office is all about. And you see those people every day, don't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, okay. So as we think about them and the stresses that people can go through, we need to understand a couple of things. Number one, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter what your social status is, what your financial status is, any of those things, it really reaches across every sector of society. So that's one thing. But another thing is that there are people in everybody's lives that can help them by recognizing some of the signs and stepping in and helping them to get the help that they need. So what are some of those signs we can look for in people who are struggling with their mental health that we can really get them on the right track again?
So I think if you notice that, somebody's verbalizing, talking about wanting to die, that's definitely a warning sign. If they're actively looking for a way to end their life, if they're talking about being a burden to others and to society, if they're feeling really hopeless, if you notice that they're increasing their use of drugs or alcohol, extreme changes in mood is definitely a significant warning sign. Or just any kind of change in their behavior. If they're acting more anxious, agitated, social withdrawal and social isolation are really important warning signs, as is if, somebody starts giving a lot of their possessions away. So those would be things that you would want to look for.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, that last one. Ashley Pruger and Katy Valazak joining us, both certified registered nurse practitioners with Neuropsychiatric Associates at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. Ashley, the team there at the Neuropsych office, pretty impressive group of people, really caring individuals, aren't they?
Yes, I think we have a wonderful team here. That's one thing I can really say. I have enjoyed working with the team that we have here. We have 3 excellent psychiatrists, and Katy and myself are here as nurse practitioners, and we have 2 physician assistants, and we all work together to provide the best care that we can.
And it's good to know that you're there, but there are barriers to people seeking treatment for mental health, and one is they're afraid of a stigma being attached to them for seeking help, and just basic shyness and anxiety about opening up to some of the problems that they're having. Are there not?
Oh, yes, I would agree with that. Absolutely. I think that there is definitely a big concern about seeking help for mental illness. I think that a lot of people are embarrassed about that. I think that they are afraid to talk about it. They feel that maybe others won't understand, especially if we're talking about suicide particularly. I feel that many people are very frightened to voice that they have experienced suicidal thoughts, which is very common among patients that are depressed and that have psychiatric diagnosis.
Katy, it's a pretty big step, isn't it, for someone to seek help in such a way, to walk through that door at Neuropsych?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely is. But they need to make that step, and it will be very, very, very helpful to them. All right, so what are some of the resources that are out there for people who are suffering mental health difficulties? I'm sure your Neuropsych office is a really good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. Our Neuropsych office is definitely a good place to start. So you can call the office at 724-464-0270. An additional resource that's out there is our local crisis hotline, and that phone number is 877-333-2470. Folks can also contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, we started by talking about the Walk for a Wonderful Life. It's being done virtually this year. How can people take advantage of that and become a part of the whole movement?
Well, there is a Facebook page. The Indiana Suicide Task Force has a Facebook page and a website that individuals can look at and see how they can participate. And I think this is going on all month long, and you can kind of do it at your leisure. So get family and friends involved and participate.
Yeah, it is. It's all month long. September, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. They Walk for a Wonderful Life. And go to their website, stf32.com, I believe, is the website, and, of course, their Facebook page as well. Ashley Pruger, Katy Valazak, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Thanks so much for what you're doing to help folks get their feet back underneath them.
Well, thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. Have a great day today.
You too.
All right,
Thank you.
Bye now. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.